Matt Hicks.
Appreciate that. Thank you all for coming out here today. It's kind of cool to be standing here. This is, I have Leone Tavares' view as I'm standing here right now. And it's pretty cool.
Texas Rangers FanFest 2024. Rangers radio guy Matt Hicks interviewing Texas Rangers pitchers Dane Dunning and Nathan Eovaldi.
That particular game and that particular broadcast, despite the fact that Zach Gallen was dealing, I kept telling Eric and Jared in the booth, we're winning this ball game. Not only are we winning this ball game, we're going to score the first run. And they kept looking at me like, have you been watching Zach Gallen today? He's actually pitching really. I said, yeah, but we're going to score first and we're going to win. And that's what happened. And Dane, you were telling me just now backstage that you had a particular feeling along the way watching Nathan work.
Yeah, so I was sitting next to Brock Burke in the bullpen, and he gets in his first jam. I think it was the third inning, and gets out of it. Coming to the fourth inning, he gets into another jam. I'm pretty sure it was bases loaded this time with no outs. And I look at Brock and say, if he gets out of this inning, we're winning the whole thing. And sure enough, he did. And the rest is history. But yeah, I looked right at Burke and I was like, hey, if he gets out of this, we're winning it.
What was going through your mind with all of your ups and downs in that game? And while you're down, sitting out watching Zach Gallen deal?
I mean, I'm trying to have a 1-2-3 inning for the first time in the entire game. I felt like I had runners in scoring position every inning, and given the situation, we're on the road, we're at their place. You don't want to let them strike first, and I'm trying not to let any of those runs score. As I'm sitting down in the dugout, I kind of sit down in the tunnel. I don't want to get hit by foul balls. I want to be in my zone and not be distracted by anything else. So, 1-2-3 inning, I get up, I get back out there, and it's, a lot of the times I feel like it's like a boxing fight. You know what I mean? Like, keep getting hit, and it's like, okay, I can't give in yet. You know what I mean? Try to have a quick inning, have our guys be able to come out there and, get something going at the plate, and then also too a little bit more pressure on Zach. But I mean, like you said, he was throwing an outstanding game, and I had to hang with him.
Well, hang with him, you did. I've had a hard time wrapping my head around the fact that you made 6 starts in the postseason. The Rangers won all 6 games. You went 5-0. You're facing all of the best competition in baseball, and you were able to put up those kind of crazy numbers. In your career in the postseason, you're 9-3. Have you had an opportunity to think about, man, I did that?
No, yeah. I still haven't really reflected on any of that stuff. You know what I mean? I feel like each year you got to focus on what you have to do to get better and the things to improve. And when it comes down to the postseason, it's do or die. And definitely don't want to give in. And there's just something about, again, you try to simplify the game, try to, it comes back down to the basics. And as long as we can stick to those basics, I feel like we have a good chance of winning. And I know that game 5, I had a lot of walks, I allowed a lot of runners to get on, but at the end of the day, I was able to keep them from scoring, and that was the biggest thing for us.
Dane, we were on this stage last night. We had our awards dinner and ceremony here, and Dane was recognized as the Rangers Pitcher of the Year in 2023. And I asked you this last night, so I'll ask it in front of the fans here today. And that is that your season was the kind of season that not a lot of guys have. You started the season in the bullpen. And were asked to do different things, and you did them all really well. Then Jacob DeGrom goes down with an injury. You get slotted into his spot of the rotation, and you basically picked up where he left off. The Rangers won all 6 Jacob DeGrom starts, and then you go into that spot, and the Rangers just kept winning. And then later in the year, when you were back in the bullpen, you were asked again to perform a variety of roles. How do you handle that? Because if there's anything that really stands out about a baseball team, it's that starting, baseball players have a routine. Starting pitchers really have a routine, almost down to the minute of every day of the baseball season. So how do you make that adjustment going from, I don't know when I'm going to pitch, to I'm back to my routine, and I don't know when I'm going to pitch again?
It's relying on my teammates. coming out of the bullpen early on, it was Will Smith and Josh Spores. Just I would talk to them about when they prepare themselves to start getting ready for the opportunity that you're going to get. I knew that I was a long guy, so I knew it would be early on in games, early innings. So by the second, third inning, I was doing all my warm-ups, and then the rest of the guys would start doing theirs around like the fourth or fifth inning. And then when I came to starting, obviously I had a couple years of starting experience, so I was able to hop back in that routine. But Eovaldi helped me out a ton, just being able to bounce ideas off him. And so throughout the entire season, I just utilized my teammates as much as I can. I saw how they do the routine, and I kind of picked little things from each person and was able to create my own routine. And if it was either relieving or starting.
All right, I can't let you guys get away today, and I want to ask this question because while we've been traveling around in caravans and whatnot, this has come up on a couple of occasions, and it's the plane flight from Seattle to Tampa after the regular season had ended, and we're getting ready to start the postseason. I was at an event with Josh Spores, and this came up, and I wasn't expecting his answer, and then last night during the award ceremony, Josh Young on his own referenced that flight. It was the last time that we as broadcasters were on the same plane with you guys. And just to let you know, if you've never taken a cross-country flight nonstop before from Seattle to the Tampa area, it takes 5 hours and 5 minutes. One of the things that impressed me on that flight was the conversations that I heard during the course of those 5+ hours. The guys that I heard talking, coaches, the guys that are on staff, analytics guys, they were all completely focused on that flight on the Rays. But when I talked with Josh Spores about it, he didn't have anything to say about that. I want to get your guys' reaction to that particular flight and what was going through your mind as you had finished up the regular season. Clinched a spot in the playoffs, but dropped 3 out of 4 to Seattle. You're getting ready to go into the postseason. What's going through your mind on that flight?
For me personally, I started that last game. I was a little mentally down going into that flight, just not being able to catch that last win to be able to clinch the AL West. But during that flight going to Tampa, I kind of just tried to forget, everything from the regular season, get my mind right for the postseason. And other than that, I played a bunch of cards. Talked to a lot of teammates. I played a bunch of cards. We call it the B table. The A table's in the back. We have the B table kind of up front. But me, Josh Spores, Brock Burke, Josh Young, Corey Seager, and Josh Smith were all taking turns playing cards. We probably played like 15 to 20 games. And that took up 3 to 4 hours of it. But after that, I was able to just kind of walk around the plane and talk to the guys. And like I said, Eovaldi's helped me out a ton. This is something that's a little bit before the plane ride, but he was sitting there talking to me about postseason and kind of preparing me for the postseason, just telling me hey, you need to get your sleep going in these games. It's even if you're not in the game, but if you're in the game, you're going to be mentally exhausted afterwards. And everything, it don't matter if you're in the bullpen, if you're sitting in the dugout just cheering for your teammates, you're going to be in it 100%, and you're going to need that support for your teammate. And he supported me big time with that. So I was able to kind of go on the plane and be able to talk up some of my teammates there.
For me, I didn't pitch very well in that Seattle series, so I was frustrated with myself. And then knowing we won the next game, so I knew we were in the postseason. Obviously we don't have to go through the wild card, especially against the Rays, but you got to go through all those teams to be able to win the World Series title. So, it's time to turn the page. I had made some mechanical adjustments going into that Seattle start, so I was feeling really good. The results were terrible, but I felt really good. So I was able to focus on those mechanics kind of throughout the postseason. I felt like it really locked me in, but again, it's that do or die mentality, and I know Montgomery was going to game 1, and then I'd be ready for game 2 with everything the way that it had lined up, and having that AL East experience facing the Rays in the past, it definitely helped out, and kind of knowing how I needed to pitch against those guys. And I had pitched against them twice in the during the regular season as well, so Again, as a starter, you're trying to go out there and go as deep as you can, as long as you can, and give your team that chance to win, and you got to be ready.
Dane, you mentioned you played cards with a group that included Josh Spores, and I mentioned I had a conversation about this with Josh, and what I was surprised about was he said that on that entire flight that you guys were angry. He used the P word, and you were angry that rather than flying to Tampa, rather than flying home and having days off or being able to start the playoffs at home, that you had to go to Tampa and get the postseason started. Were you guys angry?
Definitely. We had the AL West in our grasp, and we just fell short right there at the end. We hit a little rut going into, I think it was September, right? Yeah. And so September we hit a little rut in the road where we dropped a lot of games that we shouldn't have, and it bit us at the end. And that's where 162 games, every single game matters. It doesn't matter, one little mistake can cost you the title and cost you those days off. But no, I wouldn't say I was angry about it, because I think it worked out best for us in the end. We were able to continue playing games. We didn't have that long break in between, but it would have been nice to be able to clinch that title for our fans.
Are you talking about?
So I have one story in particular. We're in Minnesota. I had my worst start of the season. I had no feel, no command of where I was throwing the ball. It was just one of those days where things weren't going right. So, try to throw a down away sinker, I miss up and in. I try to throw, an inside sinker, I miss down away. It was just one of those days where it just wasn't clicking. I wasn't throwing well, and I was really pissed at myself. And I kind of sat around later after the game with some of the guys just talking about it. And this is also a little story about Will Smith too. So Will Smith also came up to me in the shower and was like, "Hey, I know you weren't your best today, but I hope you have 10 more of these in your career. Because if you have 10 more of these in your career, you've had a long career." And after thinking about that, I was like, wow, that's really nice, but a really weird way of saying it. But no, then Moj called me with the coaches. I walked in, I went and talked to all of them, and we don't usually get a lot of interactions after the game. A lot of the guys will go home with their families, but I went and talked to them, and I was like, hey, listen, this won't ever happen again. For the rest of the season, I'm gonna be better. I'm gonna do that. And Moj just looks at me and goes, well, shoot, I struck out every once in a while. And it lifted my spirits. Just that simple one-liner, it just helped it a ton. You made it a better environment. Just all those little one-liners, he just made it fun, and then it made you want to come to the field working hard the next day.
As I was asking this question, Nathan, you had a big smile on your face. Do you have a boat story you can share?
Not one that's for me, but when we were in Oakland, so Bubba Thompson's up there at the plate, and he's squaring around a bunt, and they're crashing in. He tries to bunt, he fouls it off, and Moach is yelling at him. He's like, swing the bat, Bubba! Because they're crashing. He goes to bunt again, and he's just screaming, swing the bat! That was one of my funny ones for us, because the dugout's so close right there in Oakland, the walls to the plate, and it's Bubba had to have been able to hear him.
Yeah.
And continue to try to bunt.
He's always saying, Palea.
What was that again?
And so he always just randomly Palea, just to all of our team and stuff like that. That's fun.
But one of the things, who is from, like you, the Houston area, he's a catcher for the Boston Red Sox. Can you share a little bit about your friendship with Connor and how that got started?
No, yeah, when I was over there with the Red Sox, Connor got traded over. He was I'm part of that Mookie Betts deal, so he came over to the Red Sox, and it's just small chatter and everything. And he says he's from Manville, and that's 20 minutes from where I'm at, and I'm like, all right, cool. Now I got a catcher to throw to in the off season and stuff, and no, Connor's been great. It's funny how everybody's so spread apart. During the season we're all together, and then we go our different ways, and you connect with a lot of other baseball players, and we're all trying to get better and work. And to be able to have that off-season connection with him, being in the area, we work out together, we throw together. I got good feedback coming from him. Unfortunately, he hits me really well at the plate, so.
And then for you, Dane, I know that you have a close friendship with a guy that you came up with in the Chicago White Sox system. But this year at the trade deadline, he got dealt from the White Sox to the Marlins. Tell us about your relationship with third baseman Jake Burger.
Yeah, so he's one of my best friends. I got traded to the White Sox in 2016, and then he was drafted that year after in 2017. And our friendship really started in 2019 when I had Tommy John surgery and he blew out his Achilles, and we ended up living together during that rehab process, and that's where our friendship kind of blossomed. He's a hardworking, just great person. He's always got your back. He's always there for you. And but no, it's funny because when we were playing the White Sox here last year, I was gonna go get dinner with him and his wife and his kid, and Rachel and my son were there, and we had these plans, and he calls me and says, "Hey, I gotta bail on dinner." I'm like, "What the heck, dude? It's like 3 hours to dinner." He goes, "Yeah, we're gonna have to get dinner in like 4 days." So he got traded to Miami, and then we played Miami literally 4 days later here, and so we just had to prolong it for a couple days. But yeah, no, he's great. Like, I mean, he said it earlier. Like, just in the off season, like as a team, we're all spread out through the U.S. and we don't get to talk as much as we do as when we're together. Obviously, we spent like 200 something days together, so half of us don't even want to talk to each other at that point. But no, you meet so many people from different teams. So I'm in Charlotte right now, and I go to this facility called Tread, and I got some great friends that I play catch with there. Patrick Bailey, who's the catcher for the Giants, he catches my bullpens and he gives me really good feedback. And then he also flicks me off when I punch him out. But no, he just little things like that. I mean, baseball's a brotherhood. It doesn't matter what team you play for. I mean, in the off season, everyone's going, striving for the same thing, striving to be the best they can. And so you kind of just are able to, work together at that point. And then one season comes like, hey, you're my enemy now. So, but yeah, no, Berger's amazing. He's fun to be around. He lives in Nashville now, but he's a good dude. He's hardworking, but yeah, he's always there for me.
Story. One of the things you learn when you get into baseball, and my career in professional baseball started in 1989. So I've been around for a while, but one of the first things you learn is the day that a pitcher is starting, you do not talk to him. You do not approach him. It's one of the very first things that you learn. So I've carried that with me throughout my career. If I walk into the clubhouse and it's Nathan's day to start, I essentially avoid eye contact. I try not to look at him. Now, if he looks at me and says hello, I am obviously going to say hello back, but that's going to be the extent of our conversation that day. Same with Dane when he started. All right, we opened up the ALCS with a win over Houston in Houston, so we're up 1-0. For the second game of that series, for whatever reason, I think we had an odd starting time. I'm not a breakfast guy, but I was going to have a big breakfast that day in the team hotel, and a breakfast had been provided for us. And so I go down, I get a big plate of food, I walk into the area where there are tables, and there are a lot of families that were traveling during the postseason, which was a good thing for these guys. And so I saw a lot of kids, a lot of moms. I'm looking for a familiar face, and I see Rich Rice, who travels with the team from our media relations department, and Rich is having a conversation with Marcus Simeon. And there's somebody else at the table, but his back is to me. I can't tell who it is. I'm like, I'm going to go sit over there. So I walk with my big plate of food. I walk around Rich and Marcus, and I get to the other side of this big circular table. I sit down, and I realize that other guy is Nathan Eovaldi. And Nathan is scheduled to start Game 2 that day. And I'm like, I got to say hi. Nathan's a nice guy. He smiles. He says hi. I say hi. But I get involved right away in a conversation with Rich Rice. Rich is talking with Marcus. The three of us get involved in a conversation, but I notice with this huge plate of food in front of me that Rich is finishing and Marcus is almost finished. Well, Rich wants to catch the first bus to Minute Maid Park, so after a couple of minutes, he gets up and leaves. 2 minutes later, Marcus finishes up, he gets up and leaves. So it's a table for 10, there's only 2 of us, and it's me and Nathan, and I'm like, what am I going to do now? I'm just going to cram food. So Nathan knows that I'm not supposed to talk to him. So he starts a conversation with me. Meanwhile, I'm thinking, as other people are coming around, and it's a huge room, people are watching me talk with that night's starting pitcher, and if other ball players come in, they're not going to like that. So Nathan's talking, and all of a sudden, Nathan starts asking questions. We get to talking about Creed. You know, if you remember, the Minnesota Vikings had played the day before. This was a Monday, and Kirk Cousins had, in a press conference after the Vikings game, went on a whole thing about Creed and the Vikings locker room and the whole deal. And Nathan is like, he's telling me about this, and then he pulls out his phone. And by the way, you've got a really big phone. And he takes out his phone and he pulls up the press conference and he goes, if you haven't seen it, you gotta look at it. And he hands me his phone. And so for 4 or 5 minutes, I'm watching Kirk Cousins on Nathan Eovaldi's phone thinking, if we lose tonight, I'm the reason. So Nathan and I have a conversation for like 15 minutes. Nathan, as you can imagine, you look at this smile on his face. He's a great guy to talk to. He can talk about a lot of things other than baseball. I'm finishing up my food as quickly as I can. I get up and I leave. I go to the elevator because I'm going to go to my room, brush my teeth, catch the bus to the ballpark. I'm standing at the elevator for like a minute or two. I'm like, this elevator, why won't this elevator come? All of a sudden, from around the corner, here comes Nathan. Hey, slowest elevator in baseball, am I right? Look, I can't get away from the guy. Finally, I get up to my room, I brush my teeth, I catch the bus. I'm like, oh my gosh, the only thing I cared about in game 2 was that he pitched well, but also that Marcus Semien had a good game because I was at the table and Marcus was there. So what happens in game 2? Marcus, his first 2 at-bats, he got hits on the first 2 pitches that he saw. First at-bat, first pitch single, second at-bat, first pitch single. And Nathan in that game, 6 innings, 3 runs allowed, quality start, gets a win. We win game 2. I just want to thank you for sharing that morning with me and pitching well that night. But tell us about this and your routine on game day. Some pitchers do not want to talk to anybody, but you clearly wanted to talk that day.
Yeah. My routine on game day, I try to keep it as relaxed as possible. I try to keep everything the same up until I get to the field. I mean, if it's a 7 o'clock start, I'll be at the field around 3:30 in that little time frame, grab some food, and then as the time gets closer to game day, or that start time, I narrow down that focus. But I don't want to be too stressed or, I don't know, where I feel like I can't talk to anybody all day long and have it all bottled up. Like, I need to talk, I need to be relaxed, I need to treat it like any other day. Obviously, I know what's at stake and everything. I'm going to be ready to go when it's time to make that first pitch, but for me on my routine, I try to keep it nice and relaxed, easy, and I'll try to get a good night's sleep and everything like that. And a lot of the times it's tough for me just because I'm so excited and ready for the game to start. I feel like, you got certain pitchers who are very tunnel vision focused, like, don't talk to me, leave me alone, like you described. But for me, I gotta talk, I gotta move around. I can't just sit still. I'm always moving around in the clubhouse. I'm almost never in my locker, so I don't know.
Well, thank you again. How about you?
If I could add anything, if you're the good luck charm, I'm gonna need you to come to breakfast with me before every start. Hey, I'll take a quality start on every start with the win. So we'll have to schedule that in this year.
Okay.
But no, like, for me, starting wise, I'm kind of like him. Like, leading up before the game, I'm keeping a normal day. I'm gonna talk to whoever, like that stuff doesn't really bother me as much. But it's like, once it gets close to that game time, I get to the field at like 3:30, and then I'll give myself like an hour where I can still interact with my teammates and stuff like that. But like 4:30, around there, it's like, all right, now it's time to lock in. I got to go do all my prep work in the weight room, and then I got to go into the training room to stretch, then I got to go meet with the coaches, go over the scouting report. So like, really, like, around that time is like when I need to lock in. And another big person on that, it's like not to talk to, is actually Max Scherzer. He's when he's got his headphones on, like, don't even look at him. Just don't be near him. Don't breathe next to him. It's just he's locked in. He's ready. But no, we had a little ongoing joke of some of our teammates where it's like, hey, like go tap him on the shoulder. I'll go pay you to tap him on the shoulder. He's one of those guys. He's a great teammate and all that, but like when he's ready for a start, like he might blow up on you. He just that's the way he is, and that's why he's how he is on the mound. He's got that bulldog mentality, but he locks in real early going into his starts. But for me, I'm quite the opposite. I'm pretty relaxed. If you talk to me during, like, I'll try to lock in, but if you talk to me, I'll have a conversation.
Yeah, and we know not to look at Max on days that he pitches, even though Max is very talkative and can talk about anything and is a great guy. On the day he pitches, you stay away from him. All right, we can.
I was a fan of the Astros when I was younger. I love watching Nolan. No, I liked, Craig Biggio, Bagwell. I loved watching those guys when I was younger.
All right, down here, yes.
Hey, if you were a pitcher, what position would you play?
Me personally, I would try to play shortstop. I played shortstop my entire life growing up. I loved it. I loved hitting. I loved, just playing the field. And we got Corey Seager, who's a lot better than me at shortstop, and so I had to take a different route. But no, if I could, I would play short.
Right down here, yes.
What's your advice for a young pitcher?
Who do you want that question to go to?
Either one.
Either one.
My advice for a young pitcher is, to work hard every day. Make sure your grades are good, first of all. Grades are the most important thing, but make sure you go out there, work hard, and have fun. Most importantly, have fun. Go out there, enjoy the time with your teammates, and just do the best you can in every time you play.
All right, yes, right here.
All right, Eovaldi, throughout your career, which opposing batters give you the most stress or the most challenging for you?
Early in my career, Juan Pierre was one of the guys. He owned me at the plate. Trying to think of who else. I don't know.
You're looking at me.
Connor Wong, he's giving me issues. It depends. There's certain guys that they get hot at the right time. Sometimes I struggle getting them out, and then it's a game of adjustments, and I got to try to make those adjustments to get them out. Joey Wendell was one of the guys too. Like, he used to crush me all the time, and I kind of figured out how to get him out. Aaron Judge, he's had his moments. Stanton as well, where they've been able to connect with the long balls. I feel like it's either a home run or a strikeout, so it's kind of give and go with that.
All right, yes, young man.
You got to work hard, and again, most of all, it's having fun. You're going to come across some really good coaches, and you got to be able to take those, those adjustments that they give you. But that comes with listening and having fun. That's the most part. Having fun with your teammates and keep playing.
Right back. What was it?
It was probably Andrew Heaney. I don't know. I don't really remember. Yeah, him and Will Smith on the bus. They randomly put it on. As we're traveling from the field to the airports and stuff like that, we'll play some music on the bus, and they put on Creed, and we've got some older guys, we've got some younger guys who've never heard of Creed, and we're like, what? How do you not know who Creed is? I don't know. At the time of the season when we started playing it, it really took off, and it's a verse that you kind of hit that verse, and it's fun. And everybody gets to sing it, and it became our song.
Yeah, and so Heaney would start. He started playing it in the locker room before we went out in the field, just like a little pump up thing. He just randomly started doing it. We went on a tear. I think we won 8 straight or something like that right after he first played that. So it just kind of stuck. It just
each starter gets their opportunity to kind of play whatever music you want on your start day. It's like if you don't play, everybody else puts on their own music in the clubhouse and stuff. And Heaney on his start day would play the Creed. Can you take me higher?
Do you guys remember roughly when that began? That Andrew did that?
It was probably about a month or so before postseason started.
Okay.
I'm not entirely sure. It was probably right when we went to Toronto.
Right before Toronto.
Yeah, because I think it was the bus ride going from the plane to the hotel in Toronto when that happened.
And it's typical throughout baseball, not just the big leagues, but the minor leagues as well, that day in the clubhouse, the starting pitcher gets to decide what music gets played. So, Dane, I'll ask you first. What's your choice of music when you're starting?
So I put music on through my headphones. So whatever the team wants, they can put on. I always listen to mine. Mine's at the very start of the year, and for like the past like 4 years, it's been kind of like hardcore rock, like screamo type stuff to like get me really in the mood. Then I hit a little rut after the All-Star break, and I started playing Mac Miller, just very chill, relaxing music. And then after that, it was, started doing good again. So I just kept going with Mac Miller.
What about you?
I leave the radio up to the clubhouse. Yeah,
I mean, what fires you up? Like, if you had to pick something, what gets you going?
I don't know. Again, it's you ride that wave during the season, and I listen to a lot of like the Big Booty Mix. It's like an hour playlist, and it's a whole bunch of songs converted into one. You know what I mean? So I listen to that. I'll listen to random music. I really don't have a set playlist before the start. Again, like I try to keep everything at ease and different. Try not to be superstitious with a lot of the things.
Very good. Okay, down here. Yes.
I mean, there was multiple points throughout the season where I was thinking like we have a chance of doing it. I mean, early on we got really hot at the start of the season. I think we started off like 40 and 20 or something like that.
Pretty good.
When we went on that tear at the beginning of the season, I was like, oh, like this team's got a really good chance. As the season progressed and it got closer, going into that final series against Seattle, I was kind of up and down a little bit on that wave. But once we made playoffs, I felt relieved. But during that playoff run, as we won more games on the road, that's where I thought, like, hey, like we can do this.
And you?
Yeah, I mean, once we made it to the postseason, you kind of start that countdown. It's like, all right, 13 more wins. You got to make it through the wild card, and I think it gives you a little different perspective on the game when you're looking at it like that. 13 more wins. We play 162 games in the season. Now we're just focused on 13 more wins, as opposed to, hey, we got to beat the Rays, we've got to beat Baltimore. You're watching the opponent you're going to face. Win that first playoff game, and it's like, all right, 12 more. And we were able to win the first game, every series. And that was one of the biggest keys for us is, you don't really feel like you have your back against the wall when you're winning those first games. Obviously, when we played Houston and we won the first two and then we lost 3 in a row, it was like, all right, the tide's turning a little bit, but now we've got to lock it back in and make sure we finish what we started.
You guys mind if I share when I knew we were going to win the World Series? The moment that I knew.
Was it in the 9th inning when we're up?
No.
A bunch and
no.
2 outs?
It was much
2 strikes.
Much before that. We had just won Game 1 in Baltimore of the division series, and we were back at the hotel, and there was a ton of people in the hotel lobby. The way it's constructed there, it's kind of odd. But anyway, I'm waiting in line to go back to my room with a lot of people, and there are a lot of people that are coming down the elevators too. And in a moment while I was waiting to get on the elevator, I actually had a physical brush with Billy Joel. And obviously a lot of people here know who Billy Joel is. He's coming out of the elevator with his little entourage, and I see it, I'm like, oh my gosh, Billy Joel's coming my way. Oh, it's Billy Joel. And we're all trying to move and get out of there. It's so crowded there in that lobby, and I'm trying to get out of his way. He actually, his left side brushed by my left side, and at
he
that
hasn't
moment,
watched the sense.
At that moment, I'm like, we're winning the World Series. That's it. I've got to be able to tell this story. So that was the moment. Okay, yes, sir.
Lots of craziness. What was that like for you, man? The ambiance, the atmosphere, and of course now with Sandler, you guys together, and the feeling of with Nadell, man. What was that experience like?
Well, it was really special. I grew up not here in Texas, but I grew up in the suburbs of Washington, D.C., and my team that I rooted for growing up was the Washington Senators, which, of course, the team that started in 1961 and then moved here to Arlington for the 1972 season. And so it was funny, sort of a circle of life thing, that many years later, in 2012, it was the Rangers who came calling and hired me to join the club. So I was actually, and am actually, working for the team that I grew up rooting for. Of course, those Senators teams were never very good. It wasn't like the World Series was something that we ever thought about. But to be a partner with, as you said, Jared Sandler and Eric Nadell. And Eric Nadell has been with the ball club since 1979. I was a sophomore in college when Eric started working for this ball club. And for him to have the opportunity to call a World Series in 2010, to call one in 2011, and to come so close to winning a World Series then but not getting it, to be able to share this ride with him, to be in the booth with him in Game 5 when he got to call the final out and let everybody know that you're not dreaming, the Rangers are a World Series champion. I'm getting goosebumps just relaying that right now. It was a special moment for me, culminating what was really a special season. Now, I know that we only have a couple of minutes left.
Competition, that competitive nature in me, I kept getting in trouble, and I knew how important it was for me to try to go deep in that game, and I don't know, I kept getting runners on base, and Boch kept leaving me out there and giving me that opportunity to get out of it. I joked around with Boch in the 6th inning. That was my first inning that I had a complete, or a 1-2-3 inning. I'm like, Boch, I have a 1-2-3 inning and you take me out of the game. Come on now. He's like, no, you've done good enough. He's like, you're good. Thank you.
So did I.
Thank you. Yes, down here.
So for me, it's the entire team. This year has been one of the most fun years that I've had, but it's all because my teammates. Every single person, I have great relations. We bond very well, and everyone's just a good person. So it's just each and every teammate of mine is one of my best friends.
Yeah, a lot of the times when we go on the road, we're leaving our families here, and when we're on the road, the guys are our families. So we get to go to team dinners together all the time, spend all that time together at the field. Pitchers are always playing catch with one another. Starters are always hanging out together. Bullpen hangs out with each other all the time during the game, and then when we're not pitching, we get to sit down in the dugout, cheer on all of our guys, talk to them all the time, and it's a lot of fun hanging out.
What is your confidence to win the World Series here in the United States?
Well, I've only been in the playoffs really with the Rangers, so I had all the confidence in the world. We just, like I said, as a collective group with us, everyone was on board. We're pulling from the same side of the rope, and we just had fun the whole time. He could probably relate a little bit more with his multiple World Series rings that he's got, so I'm going to pass it off to him.
Now, a lot of the times when it comes down to the postseason, it doesn't really matter how you get in there. It's about what team's the hottest at the right time. And the way we played all season long, we rode that wave. We were really, really good. And we hit that little bump in the road, and then we got hot again in the postseason. Our offense has been unbelievable the entire season. The defense has been great. Pitching came together at the perfect time when we needed it, and we were able to come out on top. Each year, I feel like it's a little different. You might make it into the postseason, but when you only got a few guys who are producing in the lineup or on the mound, you won't be able to come out on top. And in the past, we've been able to do that.
And Nathan won a World Series with the Red Sox back in 2018. Was that run, I would imagine, a lot different from our run this past year?
Yeah, it was a lot different. In 18, I got traded over there from the Rays, and I was halfway through it. They already had a commanding lead at first place, and I knew when I got over there that our job was to win the World Series. They had been working on it, and each year they had gotten a little further and further in the postseason. So this year was very special to me to be a part of it from the very beginning. Obviously, I came over to a new organization, but getting to know all the guys and stuff and really work on it from the very beginning of the season and see it all the way through, and for us to come out on top, it's very special to me.
All right, again, we want to thank you all for coming out. Sorry we didn't get to everybody's questions, but our time has run out. We do appreciate your time, and again, you coming out here on FanFest. Enjoy the rest of the day. Let's hear it once again for Dane Dunning and Nathan Eovaldi.
I hope you enjoyed that interview. Matt Hicks, Dane Dunning, Nathan Eovaldi, FanFest 2024. Thanks for watching. Have the best day ever. Go Rangers. See you on the next one. Look at you staying all the way to the end. You want a little gift for that? Coupon $5 off tickets to Frisco Roughriders. Link in the description. Thanks for checking it out. It supports me. You save a little money. And it's the future Rangers. Speaking of them, go Rangers.